welcome to the Friday Night Curry Club. I hope you are all well and I hope you are raring to go and looking forward to the weekend. I hope everybody's chilled out and had a nice sort of little bit of a wind down so far. Welcome, thank you for joining me tonight. It's really lovely to have you all here with me. We are going to be cooking like we do every Friday night. And as always, I will ask you to give me a shout out, say hello, let me know where in the world you are, let me know if you're cooking, let me know if you're just watching and you're going to be cooking later on over the weekend maybe, or even next week. We are cooking some fish kebabs today, also known as fish cakes, but we're going to be doing them slightly differently. But I thought it'd be really nice to make a tomato chutney to go with them. This is almost like my version of tomato ketchup. And oh, we're doing mic swaps already. Sorry. And we have only just started. Let's do.
We should really. Gordon said, "Hi Harry, hi Naya," and he spelled my name right.
Hi Gordon, how you doing? It's so. Are you wearing your t-shirt? I hope you are. I'm just going to have to stick this up my top.
So, who have we got? We've got Emily from New Zealand.
Hi Emily from New Zealand. Lovely to have you join. I'm sure, were you with us last week?
I don't recognise the
I
name.
don't know, but all the way from New Zealand. Welcome. Are you cooking or are you just watching? Well, I'm assuming you're not cooking because of the time difference. But welcome. Lovely to have you.
We've got
Gordon,
Linda.
are you wearing your new t-shirt? I want to know. I want to see a picture as well, so I'll post it on the app.
Patrick in Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Hi Patrick in Nova Scotia. Welcome to the Friday Night Curry Club.
got-
Thank you for joining me today.
Yvonne has said, "Hi, no Prosecco for me at 7:15 in the morning in New Zealand."
7:15 in the morning. Well, you know what? Yeah, maybe you shouldn't start Prosecco in the morning.
We've
Welcome.
got-
Thank you for joining me today. It's lovely to have you. Sorry, I'm just stepping off. We're having volume issues. I haven't.
Oh my god.
Apparently I turned my microphone off. I do that a lot. I don't mean to, but I'll stop fidgeting with it. Who else have we got then?
We've got, I wanted to say, Lawrence and Joni. Joni's cooking tonight.
Hi Lawrence and Joni. Joni's turn to cook.
No Prosecco this evening. We're doing a 23-mile walk tomorrow through Cornwall and Devon.
Wow.
Making
no
double the
Prosecco.
amount
You
of
need a
fish
clear
kebabs.
head. That's amazing. 23-mile walk. I like the sound of that. But do you know what would be even better is if you ran it. That would be amazing. Good luck for your walk tomorrow. Well, are you cooking anyway, even though you're not
They're
having Prosecco?
making double so they can take some tomorrow.
That is a brilliant idea. These will be lovely to take with you and have a little snack as you're walking. Who else have
We've
we
got
got?
Nikki from Red Hill.
Hi
First time
Nikki in
joiner.
Red Hill. Is this your first
First time joining.
time joining? Welcome. Lovely to have you join me. I'm in Red Hill too. So it's lovely to have a fellow Red Hill person. Welcome. Lovely to have you join. Are you cooking or just watching?
Gordon said he hasn't worn it yet, doesn't want to get it dirty.
Gordon, get that t-shirt on. I want to see it. I've got my Prosecco going. I'm just, it's just like that. It's Friday again. The week just seems to fly by and all of a sudden it's time for another glass of Prosecco.
Hank is here, he's cooking. He said, "Thought I was running late, but thanks to daylight savings time, I'm on time."
Hello Hank, welcome. Lovely to have you join and to have you cooking. Brilliant. We've got lots of people joining.
Lots of people.
Amazing to have you. As I say every week, please do give me a shout out. Let me know where you are in the world and where you're tuning in from.
Gunit's on.
Hi Ganeet, my cousin is watching. How you doing?
She said,
Lovely to have you join.
Can you send some over when you're done?
I'll send you a batch of the little fish tikka just specially for you. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to be cooking these lovely little fish cakes or tikka or kebabs, fish kebabs, whatever you want to call them. But before we get going with the fish, we want to start making this chutney because it's going to take a little bit of time to cook. It's, as I said, it's like my tomato ketchup. It's my Indian version of tomato ketchup. And you can cook it and you can just put it into some sterilized jars and just keep it in the fridge. Not only is it really good with this fish dish, it's amazing on a cheese board. It's amazing with burgers, with almost anything. It just has got a really lovely zing to it, and you can tweak it up and tweak it down in terms of the heat level so it suits your palate. But it just is a really, really nice one to have in the fridge. Once you've made it, you can keep it in the fridge so long as you don't put a dirty spoon into that jar for probably about 4 to 6 weeks. But I suspect you'll probably finish it beforehand. Okay, so what we're going to do is I've got my spices here, and I'll talk you through all of those in a minute. I've got my tomatoes. So on the recipe, I think I said 1 kilogram of tomatoes. So that's if you were making a bigger batch. I've just halved it for now. So I've got about 600 grams of tomatoes here. So I've got fresh tomatoes, I've got my spices, and I'm using this stuff which we call gur, or
brown sugar.
It's like a unrefined brown sugar. So you can use brown sugar, just a nice dark brown sugar will work. If you haven't got brown sugar, just use normal sugar. It's just to give that lovely sweetness. This has got almost like a caramelly, toffee-like taste. So it's quite sweet, but it works really well with the sharpness of the tomatoes. So we've got that. And then the other thing that I'm going to add is I'm going to put 1 fresh chilli in. I'm also going to put in some chilli powder and a little bit of salt. If you wanted to, you could also add garlic into this. You could put a little bit of ginger in there. I'm going to keep it really nice and simple, but there's lots of options that you can choose. So in terms of the spices, can you see in here?
The word you're looking for is
jaggery, that's the word I was looking for. Sorry, went completely out my head. So this is jaggery, or Ghotra we call it, but it's Indian brown sugar, unrefined brown sugar.
Like palm sugar?
It's got a different taste to palm sugar, but similar, I guess. And it looks very similar, but it's got a slightly different taste, I would say. So in terms of the spices, we are going to use what we call the 5 sort of pickling spices. So they're used in lots of dishes together, also known as banjboeren, or the 5 spices. And what I've got here is a teaspoon of each. So I've got a teaspoon of fennel seeds, a teaspoon of cumin seeds, a teaspoon of mustard seeds, a teaspoon of kalonji seeds. I call them kalonji seeds, you can call them nigella or onion seeds, and half a teaspoon of fenugreek seeds. Now, fenugreek seeds are really, really bitter, so I only have used half a teaspoon of those because they can be quite overpowering. And what we're going to do with this is we're going to saute those off, get them really nice and aromatic with a couple of dried chillies.
Would muscovado sugar work?
Muscovado sugar is perfect. That's exactly what you're looking for, that nice dark brown sugar. So into my pan, I'm going to put a little bit of oil. And we're going to add our spices, just to toast them, just to get them aromatic, just to get them to release their natural aromatics and their lovely aromas and those delicious things that we want to get out of our spices. And then we'll add our chilli. So I'm going to leave my chillies whole, and hopefully as the tomatoes cook down, they'll start to break down in the pulp and the juiciness of the tomatoes. So as always, as I say every time, whenever you're using whole spices, you are toasting them to get them to release the aromatics. But if at this stage you burn them, you need to throw them away and start again. There's nothing you can do to get rid of the bitterness that a burnt spice will add to your food. So just to reiterate on the spices, I've got a teaspoon of fennel seeds, I've got a teaspoon of cumin seeds, a teaspoon of mustard seeds, a teaspoon of kalonji seeds, and half a teaspoon of fenugreek. Have you taken a photo of this? Can you take a picture of that, and then I can post this. Now that Instagram's back up and running, I will take a photo and then I can post it all so that you can see everything. See, everything's live. We take out. Whoa! See? There's a bit of water in the pan. Right. So first things first, I'm going to add these into my oil that I've just popped in there. and your spices will sizzle and they will look beautiful already.
Anthony said, what about jaggery?
Jaggery. This is jaggery. I forgot the word. I'm sorry. It's not like me. So into here, I just want to show you the inside of my pan already. And I can smell these spices. So we'll just take a photo if you can't see it.
No,
Back.
Not that top.
Can you see?
Not really.
But they look really, really pretty. I'll get a photo so you can. Right. So into here, I'm going to add my whole chilies. And I've just turned this down because they're starting to get aromatic. I can smell the spices coming through. I don't want them to burn. So whilst that's doing that, I'm just going to chop up my tomatoes.
And tonight's colour is red.
We are red today. We are red.
That's
now,
match the tomatoes, Gordon's asked.
Well, why not? Let's go for tomato matching. I was hoping you were going to wear your red t-shirt, Gordon. That's why I decided on the red. But you've let me down. Right, so as I get my tomatoes ready, the other thing that we need to do is add jaggery. Remembered the name. I've also got some white wine vinegar here, and I'm just going to pour that in, and it's just going to let the sugar start melting down and just dissolving into there. So if you want to take a photo of that. So whilst we're doing that, let's get chopping up our other tomatoes. Now this can be done really, really roughly. You don't have to do anything precisely at all because we want all of this to break down. And remember, this is going to be a really zingy, yummy, delicious chutney. And for those of you who have been following and watching for some time, I'm pretty sure a lot of you have already made this because I've seen pictures of this on the app. Whenever, especially in the summer when there's a glut of tomatoes, I know a whole load of you make this regularly.
Someone on here has said tomatoes are really cheap because they've just come out of season.
Haha, there you go, see?
She's
Right, so this is nice and sizzly. I'm going to pop these tomatoes in. Actually,
Do you want me to go on your phone?
I just need that first before we put those in. Right, there we go, that's better. So I'm going to add my liquid in first. Now when you put your vinegar and your sugar mixture, mine haven't completely dissolved, but I'm going to get them in anyway. When you add this into your hot pan, be very, very careful because that vinegar that's in there is quite harsh and it can catch the back of your throat and it can make you cough and splutter. So do be very careful. Now once your spices are aromatic and they smell lovely and your chili starting to warm through, add the vinegar and sugar mixture in and just give that a stir. Now that, as it heats up, will start to dissolve, which is what we want.
Will I need the vinegar if I'm using loose brown sugar?
Yes, you still need the vinegar. You want that tartness. You want it all to sort of break down. It's not just to dissolve the sugar in. It's just to have a little bit of liquid in there, and that's all going to come together.
Jill's a bit behind, so if you slow
Jill, are you behind already? Shall we slow down? Let's slow it down. So, shall I just go over what we've got going on in our pan? So just to start, all that we've got in here is a little bit of oil, and then I added my bunch buran or my 5 spice to that, which is a teaspoon of cumin seeds, a teaspoon of fennel seeds, a teaspoon of mustard seeds, a teaspoon of kalonji seeds or nigella seeds, and half a teaspoon of fenugreek seeds. They went in, got nice and sizzly and zingy. And then in a separate dish, I've just dissolved some jaggery with some vinegar. And if you haven't got white wine vinegar, it doesn't matter. You can use any vinegar you like. You can just use normal household vinegar, it's fine. And those have then been poured into that pan as well, just to help it all to dissolve down. Whilst that's doing that, we're chopping up our tomatoes because our tomatoes are going to go in as well. And I'm just roughly chopping. So please do shout out if you are falling behind or if you're going faster than I am and you want me to speed up or slow down, whatever you want me to do. just let me know and I will try and be very accommodating. Now the reason that I wanted to get the chutney on first is because obviously the tomatoes are going to take a little bit of time to just cook down and soften and turn into a lovely pulp. I've just breathed in the vinegar.
How much vinegar?
So for the volume that I've got on the website, I say 200 mils. If you're doing half the volume, then just half everything. As I said in the post that I put up this week, just half everything. There we go. Now this has come to a boil and it's starting to all dissolve. So I'm going to add my tomatoes in. Now if you're not quite with me, don't worry, we can hold fire until you are before we start on the fish kebab. So do not worry, you just have to tell me. So I'm going to add in.
Michael's just said, I started making this chutney in 1975. I'm old. You're spilling tomato juice everywhere.
Yeah. Well, there we go. That's good to know. Is it Michael? Mm. That's even before I was born. That's amazing. And see, you've stuck with it. That's the main thing. So it must be good. Okay. So I've just added those tomatoes in and I'm just going to rinse this off because we'll be using this for the fish in a minute. Now the tomatoes have gone in and I'm going to just give them a little stir, get them coated, and I'm going to put them on a fairly high heat. I can smell it. That's what that smell reminds me of this chutney. Haven't made it for a while, so it's quite nice. It's quite nice that I've been given the opportunity to make it. I'm just clearing up because I've made a bit of a mess. Now I like to keep my kitchen clean, so I do tidy up as I go. I'm not a messy chef at all.
Aggressive.
Who? Me?
Yeah, to me.
Okay. Right, so I'm going to show you what this looks like now. There we go. I really need to get this right one week. There we go. So it's all in there. We want this to come up to a nice high temperature and start simmering and bubbling away. And all of that tomato will just break down and it'll just turn into a lovely pulp. And you can leave it to get, so some people like it really chunky and that's fine. And if you want it like that, then you just literally take it off and use it. Or you can then pulse it or blitz it to make it slightly smoother if you prefer. But I actually prefer it nice and chunky. I think it's really tasty. Okay, so is everybody still with me? If you're cooking, are you still with me? I'm going to have my Prosecco. I feel like I've got something stuck in my tooth, but I haven't. How are we doing? Have we got any comments? Is everybody still with us? The other thing I'm also going to do is I'm going to put another chilli in there. The two chilies I've put in are dried Kashmiri chilies, and they really help with the colour and the smokiness and the warmth. But if you want it to be a little bit more spicy, then you can also add a couple of fresh chilies as well. So I'm going to pop that in. I'm just going to chop it up. Right, there we go. And chop that up. Now I need to say a special hello to all of my Curry On members who join every week, which is lovely. So thank you for your support and thank you for being part of the club. It's always lovely to have more and more people join us. Okay.
What else can you use the five spices from?
5 spices. So the sponge boudin is used in lots and lots of different recipes. You can use it in lots of veggie dishes as your base flavour, so you can heat up your oil and put those spices in, and then just add your tomatoes or onions and whatever, and carry on. There's a lovely aubergine dish, which is like a spiced kalonji, we call it, not kalonji, ajari. So anything that's ajari just means with pickling spices usually. They should have this combination of spices in there. So you can use it in literally anything from meat right through to veg dishes. Okay, so this needs to come up to a really nice boil and start sort of simmering away. And when that happens, I'm going to then move it over to the back of the hob, and we're going to start on our fish kebabs. So is everyone with me? Are we good to go?
Rahad said, I really want to try this, but I don't have any of the key ingredients.
So if you don't have the key ingredients for this chutney, that's fine. All of the recipes are available on the website. They're also available in the app, which you can download for free. Just look for Harry Ghotra in your app store, and you can download the app for free. It's got all of the recipe videos in there. It's got hundreds of recipes, and it's a lovely place where lots of people post their pictures and we can chit chat over the week, and you can ask me questions, and it's always me that responds. The YouTube, so there's the various, this video is on YouTube as well, so there's lots and lots of places that you can sort of refer to try and do this recipe when we're not doing it live. So make sure you get the ingredients, and then you can cook it at your leisure.
Julian is cooking the fish kebabs together today, and the chutney is going to do tomorrow.
Oh, nice, Julian. Well done. See, you're pacing yourself. I like your style. So that's good to know. So you're going to do the chutney tomorrow once you've had a little bit of time to absorb it all. Right. So I'm going to move that to the back, and we are going to move on and start doing our fish. Now, for the fish, we're steaming it. So I've got my steamer ready. I've put the water in the pan already, and that is going to just come up to a nice sort of boil. So if you've got your steamer ready, put it on and get that water heating up. And then in here, we're going to add all of the other bits. But that chutney is really starting to boil now, and it smells really good, which is always a good sign. Okay, right. Do you want me to continue? Are we happy? Do we need to have a little break and have a little drinky? Or are we all good? Right. So what I've got, and I'll talk you through the ingredients that we need for this. Really, really simple. A lot of fish cakes tend to sort of have lots of potato in them, or lots of...
What do you suggest if I don't have a steamer?
If you don't have a steamer, then I think the easiest thing to do is just saute off your fish in a pan. And so just heat up the pan, a little bit of oil in there, and you just want to cook them. Or the other thing you can do is pop it on a tray, and just do it in the oven for a few minutes. So turn your oven on now, and turn it up to about 180, and then we'll just pop the fish onto a tray and just bake it for the same amount of time that we're doing this with our steamer. For those of you who are doing a veggie option, one of the veggie options I gave was potato and broccoli. So with the broccoli, with the potatoes, I asked you to pre-boil them. With the broccoli, we can steam it, or what you can do is just grate it or blitz it in a chopper, and then just mix that in with the potato. But you can steam it for a little while if you want to. So if you are doing veggie, has anyone said they're doing veggie option today?
I haven't heard.
No. So if you're doing a veggie option, give me a shout out, let me know so that I know to remember to give you little hints and tips. But yeah, if you don't have a steamer, pop it in the oven. That's probably the easiest way to do it. But before you do that, we're going to do exactly the same as, we're going to season it, and we're going to add a little bit of lemon juice into it. So I've got some salmon, and I've got some cod loin here, which we are going to steam. I'm going to chop this up into chunks in a minute, but I just wanted to show you that if you do have skin on them, with this, the easiest thing to do when you're steaming fish for a dish like this is you can actually steam it with the skin on, and then the skin will just come away. But if you don't want to do that, the easiest way to just take the skin off is to just take your knife, just get a little corner where the skin's coming away like that, and then you put your knife, shall I move this so you can see? You just put your knife underneath, and very gently sort of slightly angle your knife down, and then what you want to do is grab the skin and you pull the skin rather than the flesh, and what will happen is that it will just very easily just come away like this. Okay, so it just comes off. There's a little bit left there, just take that bit off, but there you go. So super easy to do, and because we're doing, you know, we're just chopping this up into quite rough chunks, that's fine. So that goes back into here. Same with the other piece, and you can, you know, if you don't want to use salmon or you don't like salmon, you can just do it all with a white fish, or you could even put some prawns in here. You can do whichever fish you like. So I'm keeping these quite chunky. And as I said, if you don't have a steamer, same process, but you just pop it into the oven. So there we go. So I'm just going to wash my hands and just move the chopping board.
Like we've got relatives on, but I'm not sure what the relation is between Jill and Nikki. But there's something there, some family.
We've got extended families joining us. That's all good. We like that.
Really
we like
exciting.
that. So what's the relationship between who?
So I think
Nikki,
Jill is Nikki's mum.
Jill and Nikki.
Yeah.
Please define your relationship to
I
us.
think Nikki's just said thanks, mum,
Ah.
because Jill is using a colander over a pan.
Yeah. So yeah, you can improvise if you want to, and you can do all of that kind of thing, or just shove it in the oven. That's fine too. Okay. So we've got our fish here, Naya.
Yeah.
So we've got our fish here. Into here, I'm going to add a little bit of salt, and I'm going to put some lemon juice in there. And then we're going to start to steam this with some other little delicious little ingredients. So I have to stop every now and again because we take pictures. And these pictures then help because they go on Instagram later, so that you can follow the recipe if you want to. Now, my tomato chutney is starting to cook down really beautifully. It's quite wet there, but I'm going to just let that boil away, and hopefully
Jill said
it will be delicious.
She's done a course with you with her brother.
Hello Jill. You've done, that was here, wasn't it? You did a course with me, I think, if I remember correctly. Okay, so we've got the fish. I'm going to add some salt. And then I'm going to squeeze in some lemon. And with the outside, you just chuck that in as well. And into there, we are going to also put some garlic as well. Now the garlic, I'm going to use about 4. As you know, I quite like garlic. I'm just going to give it a very gentle bash. This one as well. There we go. So we've got our 4 cloves of garlic. Just going to chuck those in. And a very rough, just give it a quick mix through. Everything's gone in there. It's all good. And I'll show you what that looks like. Get some pictures in there. Okay, so that's our fish done, and you don't really need to marinate it as such for a long time because there's just no need to do it. So I'm going to pop it into my steamer, and we're going to put that over the top. So get all of that fish in, and then I'm going to pop the lid on, and we're going to steam that just for 3 or 4 minutes, not too long. We do want it to cook, so if you're using the oven method, you can pop it into the oven now, along with that garlic and everything else that's gone in there. So I'm just going to grab the lid. Wrong lid. I'm going to grab the right size lid. Ugh. Pop that on there. It's a little bit noisy. So that's going to steam away. Now, whilst that's steaming, we're also going to start doing something that a lot of people find a little bit weird. We're just going to toast off some gram flour. There we go. So how's your chutney coming along, guys? Now, I do quite often say to you, as you're cooking, it's really nice for you to take little pictures as you're going along, because you can share those with me on the app afterwards, and it's just really nice to see how you're getting on and what's happening in your kitchens, because it's usually quite good fun. What we're going to do is we're going to just toast off. I'm going to give this a little wipe. We're going to toast some cumin. No, we're not. We're going to toast some gram flour. So this is gram flour. Gram flour is roasted chickpeas that have then been put into a blender and blitzed, and it's a really nice gluten-free flour to use, and we use it quite a lot in Indian cooking, so bhajis, pakore, those kinds of dishes, and it's got a really nice slightly nutty flavour, but it has very different properties to normal flour. And one of the things that when you're using it like this, it's really important to do is to just cook it slightly, and you do that in a dry pan. So you've got a dry pan here, i.e. there's no oil in that pan.
Is it okay to use white flour?
You can do. It's probably going to give you a different, slightly different flavour, but if that's what you've got, that's fine, you can do that. So we're going to put in a couple of tablespoons, maybe a little bit more, and it sounds a bit weird that you're toasting flour, but it just gets rid of the slight sort of rawness that gram flour can have. Now, let me just show you. Now, what will happen is you'll sort of stir it and nothing will happen, but as you keep going, it will start to toast and it will start to go slightly darker in colour. So do keep an eye on it. Now, one of the telltale signs of when you know your gram flour has toasted is that it starts to release almost like a sweet aromatic, and you can smell it's quite distinct. So you just need to make sure that you keep it moving so that it doesn't burn. So we're just going to keep doing that. And also keep an eye on your chutney. How's everyone's chutney smelling? Is it smelling good? Are you getting some nice aromatics and zinginess coming from it? Let me know in the comments, because it's always good to hear from you.
Is gram flour the same as jana flour, both being chickpeas?
I've never heard it called jana flour, but I suppose different countries and so on. But yes, it probably is. It's got a slightly yellowy tinge to it, and that's usually what gives it away. Jana tends to be chickpeas, so yes, I would suspect it is. It's also known as besan or besan, chickpea flour, gram flour. It has lots of names. Now you can, I can start to smell this coming through now already. And ideally what you want to do is you don't want to get it too dark in colour. You don't want it to go too brown. I can smell it now. I wish I could share, because it hasn't, I mean, it's probably gone a shade darker, but it hasn't gone brown as such. But you can really smell it.
Make it flat. Put the pan flat, so you can't really see it because of the lights. Just white.
Oh, it Smells nice. Now when you've got to the stage where you can smell it and the aromas are starting to come through, you need to turn that off. The other thing you need to do is remove it and put it into a bowl, because if you leave it in the pan, it will continue to cook with the heat that's in the pan, and that will or can essentially burn it. So once it's done, just pop it into the pan here. Now I can see my fish is steaming away, so I'm going to have a quick look at it. Yum! Pop that over there.
Tracy said, I made besan flour in my Thermomix.
Well done, Tracy. You are a braver lady than me, because it make an absolute racket when you did it. So noisy, but that's very clever of you. Super clever. Right. Now what I'm looking for with my salmon is that the garlic is softened enough and it's starting to mush up, because yeah, it is. So I'm going to turn that off. So my fish is done. I'm happy with that. I'm going to bring that over here. So my toasted gram flour. I've also boiled a few potatoes here. If you wanted to pad it out, you can add some boiled potatoes into there as well. And it depends how many people you're cooking for. So you can just, you can sort of improvise if you want to. I'm probably not going to add them today, but I have boiled them just in case, because this is one of those dishes that the kids do like. So it's always a good idea if you can pad it out somehow. So my tomato chutney's looking good. They're starting to break down. So keep an eye on it. Give it a little mix. Give it a little swish to make sure you're happy. Right. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to use some tongs and I'm going to get the fish out. Now in the recipe I say that to put this into a blender just to blitz it through. Now you can do that if you want to, but what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to use a fork and just mash it up, because that's what I feel like doing today. But I want to keep it quite chunky as well. So it depends. If you want it really smooth, you can blitz it.
Alrico has said, hello from Oceanside, California.
Hi, Alrico from California. We're not jealous.
I received my spices in the tin and I absolutely love it.
Yay! You got your spices, you got your tin. I'm so happy. Have you shared a picture with me? If you haven't, I'm going to be very cross. I'd love to see your spices. I'm so pleased that they've arrived and you're using them. Have you used them? See, that's the problem. Whenever you pipe up, I want to know more. I want to get more information. Okay. So everything has gone in here apart from obviously the lemon. I might add just a little bit of the juice there that's in there, only because I know it's going to be zingy. Now, pop that over here. So this is what we've got. So all the salmon, the cod and everything is all cooked. Is it quite shiny? Yeah. I've also put the garlic in as well. We'll take a photo so it's a bit closer up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give that a little mash with my fork, but I'm also going to get my other bits of ingredients ready that I want to mix into here. Now remember, we've got the garlic in there already, but we do need to add some more spices and deliciousness. So my fork, I'm going to let that just cool for a minute, so I'll pop that to one side while I get all of the other bits and pieces ready. So I'm going to put in there some ginger. I'm going to put in some chillies. And again, with the chilli, so we haven't added any chilli as yet. Go with whatever suits your palate. So I'm probably going to do three little chillies here, just because I like a little bit of a kick. It's quite nice to have a little bit of spice to it. Right, I haven't got a knife, have I? Let me get my knife. Just to get chopping. So
if we are adding potatoes, do we add them in the bowl with the fish now?
So if you're adding potatoes, so I've boiled these. I always boil with the skin on so they don't take up lots of liquid. You just peel them and you can just grate them in. So you can just grate them straight into the same bowl that the fish is in. If you've got broccoli, same principle, you can just pop that in. You can grate it or put it into a chopper and just blend that up. Yeah, so that's exactly what you want to do, and you can mix all of that up. Has anyone, what was the other one? Is there anybody else doing anything else?
I don't think
So if you have been cooking your fish in the oven, how are you getting on? Let me know. So your fish should be pretty much the same in terms of doneness. So let me know if you've been cooking it in the oven. You can
Hank says, sorry, I was taking my fish out of the steamer. Can you go over what you just did?
Yep. So I haven't done anything, if I'm honest. All I've done is I have put the fish and the garlic into a bowl because we just want to let that cool for a minute. So I haven't done anything else. All I was saying is that in the recipe I've said that you put it into a blender and blitz it, but for the purposes of today we're not doing that. We're just going to use a fork and just give it a good old bash. There we go. And I'm keeping an eye on my tomato chutney, so it is really starting to break down now, but we want that liquid to evaporate because we want it to turn really nice and pulpy. So that's all I've done in terms of what's gone in here. I was just saying that if you are adding potatoes in, you've boiled some or pre-boiled some, just peel those and you can grate those into your fish as well. All we're going to do is get our other ingredients ready, which is chillies, some ginger and some fresh corianders going in. So I'm just going to chop up these chillies, and I've said this before, nice and fine. You don't want great big chunks of chilli because when you bite down on them, it's really not very pleasant. So I'm going to go over the chillies a couple of times with my knife just to make sure they're nice and small. And I'm not going to put them in yet. and just make sure that that fish has cooled down a little bit. So my chilli's done there, and then I'm just going to chop about a 2 or 3 centimetre piece of ginger, and I'm going to grate that so it's ready as well. I love the smell of ginger. It's so fresh and so amazing. For those of you who haven't seen the website, there's loads of information on spices, on ingredients in there. So if you're ever, I don't know, wanting to have a look at any spice, there's a whole selection, even on YouTube actually, there's a whole selection of videos called Spotlight on Spices, and I talk through all the different spices. They're sort of 30-second videos of each spice so that it just sort of pulls out the key elements of what those spices do. So it's just a nice little bit of information if ever you're stuck or wanting more info. So we've got the chilli, I've got the ginger there, and I'm just going to chop up some fresh coriander as well. Now, I always say this with coriander, it's a nice delicate, so you don't want to keep going through it with your knife, just once. And for those of you who hate coriander, I know you're out there, I know there's lots of you, just miss it out. If you don't like coriander, I know there's lots of people who just cannot bear it. It's okay, you're allowed not to like it, it's fine. Just miss it out completely. So into here, what I want to do is with my fork, I'm just going to pop this to one side a little bit. Actually, let's go this way. So with my fork, I'm just going to, with the garlic, I'm just going to squish it on the side of my bowl, just so that it sort of disintegrates, because there's nothing very pleasant about a whole big chunk of garlic in your food, however much you like it, and you know how much I like garlic. So I'm just squidging it, another technical term that I like to use. So just squidge it on the side, and got a little bit of a hard bit which we're going to get rid of, and then with your fork just start to mash the fish. Now I like to make sure there's some nice chunky bits in there, so I don't want to mash it all up to nothing, which is why I've decided to use a fork rather than blend it. So I'm quite happy with it being like that. Just keep an eye out, if you've got any big chunks of garlic, just make sure you do make sure they break down and mix all the way through. So that's what we're looking for. Can you see in there?
No.
Too much light? And take a photo. Put it like this.
Put it, hold it closer to you. And then... like,
I don't want to...
No, other way. Yeah, I can.
We'll take a photo. So, that's what it's looking like. It smells amazing, actually. It smells pretty good. There we go. I can hear my chutney bubbling away. Now, when it gets to the point where it's really starting to reduce down, you do need to be a little bit more careful, because it can stick to the bottom of the pan. So I'm going to turn my temperature down a little bit. I still want it to reduce.
Dean said, how can you hate coriander?
There are lots of people who hate coriander. But hey ho, it's, in fact, people have a genetic aversion to it, and to them it almost tastes like soap, and they just can't bear it. So it's just one of those things. Right, so the chutney is looking good. I've just turned it down a little bit because I don't want it to catch on the bottom. Okay, so back to the fish then. The chilli and ginger that we've just chopped up, that can go in. The coriander, that can go in. And if you're using potato, you should already have it in there. There we go. Now I'll show you. So with the potato, you can just grate a little bit in like this.
Astrid has said, I freeze my ginger as it goes off quickly. I use a microplane or fine grater and then pop it back into the freezer, so I have it on hand all the time.
Yeah, ginger is great in the freezer. The other thing you can do, so sometimes you can, some people like to freeze it whole, like you've just said, and grate it as and when you need it. You can also blitz it in a blender and just put it into an ice cube tray and just have little frozen ice cubes of ginger, which you can add as and when you need them to your dishes. Okay, so I've decided to put my potato in. So that's gone in. I'm going to give my hands a little wash. I'm also going to add a little bite of pepper. Not something I use very much, but we like pepper. And then some salt. And I'm also going to add a little bit of chili powder and some turmeric. And then I'm going to start to add a little sprinkling of my roasted chickpea flour. So let's give all of that a mix to start it coming together and combining. And it should smell yum and look really colourful. So Just going to add a little bit of flour at a time. So is everybody still with me? We've gone very quiet today. Usually there's questions and there's comments, but it seems like we're very quiet today. Are we having a bit of a subdued end to the weekend?
Jackie said, hello from Chicago.
Hi Jackie from Chicago, welcome, lovely for you. Thank you for joining us. Chicago is supposed to be very cool. I've never been, but I've heard it's very, very cool.
Is it okay to freeze lemon and lime in trays?
Yes, it's absolutely okay to freeze lemon and lime. In fact, one of the good things that you can do with lemon and lime is you can just slice them and just freeze them, and then you can use them in your drinks. So you can just slice them in halves and then just use them in your drinks.
Are the chilli and coriander in, and can you go back to chili powder?
Yes, so I'm just going to talk you through where we are. So in here we've got the fish. We also squidged the garlic that we cooked in the steamer. And then into that I've added some chillies, some fresh chillies, chopped up nice and finely, some ginger and some fresh coriander. I've also put in there some salt, a little bit of pepper, some chili powder and a little bit of turmeric as well. And that is all looking very, very beautiful, and it's all coming together. So we're going to start making our fish cakes with it. The flour, the chickpea flour, has also gone in there as well. Now I just want to draw your attention to the chutney, which is looking really good and it's smelling really incredible. Very, very yummy indeed. So into the chutney now. If yours is looking like this and it's started to get quite nice and pulpy, and it's thickening up, so that's all the lovely sugar in there that's bringing everything together. If that's the stage that your chutney's at as well, I will encourage you to just put a little bit of salt in there, and we're going to put a little bit of chili powder. So I'm just going to put half a teaspoon of chili powder in. That chili powder, especially if it's the Kashmiri chili powder, will just help with the colour, and it also helps with a little bit of a bite. Now I did say this is my version of tomato ketchup, but it's very much a spiced tomato ketchup, which is what makes it super special and really delicious. So that's all coming together, but I still want it to reduce more. So there's still quite a bit of liquid in there. I want that to reduce and thicken, and just get really nice and pulpy. Okay, so is everybody with me when it comes to the fish cakes that we've done so far? If not, I'm going to wait for you. I'm just going to have a little clear down whilst you're catching up. But if you are good, then let me know. So put in the comments that you're all good and you're happy to get going whilst I have a little clear down. There we go. So I had a few disasters in the kitchen this week, which I'm sure a lot of you would love to hear about. So it was St. Patrick's Day on Thursday, Wednesday this week. Who's the patron saint of Ireland, and it's very traditional to do an Irish stew, which I thought, oh, I'll do an Irish stew. I'll do a little bit of an Indian twist on it. So I added some spices to it, and I found some chillies in the freezer that we'd grown, but I'd forgotten we'd grown them, and just thought they were just habanero chilies that I could use in there. So I put 2 in, and then as it was cooking through, I was thinking, I had a little taste. I was like, oh, it's got a bit of a kick to it. Only to be told by my husband that they were actually Naga chilies, which are the hottest chilies ever, to the point where it was just so, you know, as they started to disintegrate and break into the sauce. It was really, really tasty, but it had a bit of a kick to it. So we all mess up when it comes to chilies every now and again, even me. Okay.
Johnny said, unusually, I'm not cooking tonight, so I decided to put you on the big screen in the lounge with airplay. It's like you're here.
Ah, I'm on your big screen. I could do a little...
Give us a smile.
How lovely. You'll have to take a photo, Johnny, and then you can share that with me on the app of me on the big telly. Okay, now we're going to start making the kebabs or fish cakes, whatever you want to call them. A really good tip is you just need to wet your hands first. So a little bit of water on your hands means that the mixture won't stick to your fingers. So just take a small ball and just start to form it into little patties. And you can, you know, make them to whatever size suits you. I like to have them like that. So the way that I'm going to eat these today is I'm going to put them into some burger rolls, so burger buns, like brioche buns, with some salad. So just think about how you're going to eat them. If you're going to have them with a salad, you might want them, you know, slightly bigger maybe, but just cook them to, or sorry, just make them to however suits you. So there's my first one, really easy to do. Just shape it. Ideally get as many of the cracks out of there as possible so it's nice and compact. We just pop it on there. I'm going to wet my hands again. So you might want to get a little bowl of water just to dip your fingers into, because it just makes this process so much easier. If it's all stuck to your fingers, it's quite hard. And also just notice the reason that I didn't blitz all of the fish was because I want to get a bit of texture. I want to get those nice chunky bits of salmon in there. That's what we're looking for. There we go. So keep it nice and firm and squished up. There we go. I'm going to wet my hands again. So I'm looking to get from this, I would say, at least maybe 8, which is all good. There we go. So if you're cooking along, please do get somebody in your family, or even if you're on your own, take a few pictures of your fish kebabs as you're going, because it's always nice to see how you're doing. And quite often what I get is lots of people doing little pictures of the carnage that happens in their kitchen when they're doing a Friday night curry club. But actually today I think it's nice and chilled, very calm. If you disagree with me, let me know. If you're running around like a lunatic in your kitchen, then yeah, do let me know. It's always fun to hear your stories. There we go. Okay, so guys, if you've got any questions, or I always say, although I didn't this time, that this is your opportunity to get as much out of me as you possibly can. So if you've got questions or anything you want to ask me, please do put it in the comments and I will do my best to answer your questions. Look at that, yum. There's a big bit of garlic and I'm just going to push it into the middle.
Jill said, really calm.
Nice and calm, I feel very chilled. Add a little bit of more to this one. Maybe I was being over, how many have I got? 4, 5, 6, oh no, I said 8. God, I impress myself sometimes. I said 8 and I think that's exactly what we're going to get. Right, just going to just wipe my hands. I'm going to one last.
Any plans for in-person courses during post-lockdown?
So absolutely, I do a selection of courses. All the information is on the website. If you go to the shop and have a look there, there's the whole section on cookery classes. The schools that I teach at are starting to book classes already because they're anticipating opening up in April. So those are happening if you live in the local area. But yeah, I'll be doing classes again as soon as we can.
Nikki said, my husband's already complaining about the mess in the kitchen.
Well, do you know what you can say? You can say, hey darling, why don't you help me clear it up?
Wendy said, it gets easier every week. Perhaps that's why there are less questions. Great teacher.
Oh, maybe that's why, but we, okay, so I've actually got, I'd say 8.5. I've got a teeny weeny little one left there. So I've managed to do 8. How are we getting on? Has everyone made their fish cakes? Now, if you were using broccoli, sometimes it can be a little bit more difficult for that to bind. So you might need to sprinkle a little bit more flour in, but hopefully it should be all right. If you've got the potato in there and you've got that little bit of flour in there, they should come together really nicely. So that's all of those done. I'm just going to wash my hands. And we'll think about how we're going to cook them next. So is everyone still with me? Are we all on the same page? See, the problem with doing recipes like this, that you've got your hands involved, it's quite hard to then send me a message on your iPad, isn't it? I know, you don't want to get your iPad covered in food. I could hear it sizzling away in the back. Right, I think my chutney is pretty much there. And it's really thickened up and it's gone really lovely and gloopy and dark and yummy. So I am going to have a taste, but I'm going to let it cool down because I will burn my mouth. So I'm just going to let that cool down. But it's all turned into a lovely, a beautiful pulp. But it's got a really nice aromatic to it. Have a little. Yum! I don't know why I don't make this more often. It's so good. Okay, that's done. So I'm going to turn that off and pop that to one side.
Jill has said Nikki, her husband and Jill and them are having a Zoom dinner after this.
Oh, you've both cooked and you're having a Zoom dinner. That's so lovely. Oh, see, bringing people together through food. That's what it's all about, folks. Amazing. Okay. So what I would normally do is once my fish cakes or fish kebabs are done like this, I would pop them in the fridge because I want them to get nice and cold. Just gives them time to just settle a little bit. Let's move this out of the way so you can see. And I've lost my cloth. I'm going to have a little wipe down. But you just want them to just have a little bit of time to just sort of come together, just relax a bit. They've been through all kinds of trauma. We just want them to settle down a little bit, and it just helps so that when you cook them, they won't sort of break down. I mean, they shouldn't break down anyway, but the reason that I like these is that they're not padded out with breadcrumbs. They're not padded out with, loads of potato, although we have put potato in, you don't have to. It's just about the fish and the spices and the ingredients that have gone in there, but they look pretty good to me. Can take a photo of those. So they are looking lovely. So as I said, I would normally pop them in the fridge for a little while. What I need to do is just give this a little rinse because I'm going to show you how to cook them. And I'm going to fry them in a frying pan. Now, one of the real combinations, and it's very much a Bengali style, I would say, is mustard oil. Mustard oil and fish dishes go together hand in hand. So that's what we're going to do. I've got some mustard oil here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of bring it up to quite a high heat, and then I'm going to let it cool down a little bit before I cook them. So I'm putting that in here. Now, if you don't have it, that's fine. Just use whatever oil you've got. It's absolutely not a problem. The other thing, I guess, that's important to say, so as I said, normally I would pop them in the fridge and let them sit for however long. The other thing you can do with them as well is once they've cooled down, you can just put them in a Tupperware tub and freeze them. And I love doing that because it's really easy then when the kids come home from school to just, you know, either get them out a little while before and let them defrost and then just cook them. A really nice, nutritious sort of evening meal for them that hasn't really taken a lot of, well, a little bit of effort, but hasn't taken a long time to put together because, you know, you've got that food in the fridge. And I'd much rather give them this than a bought fish cake. So they are really versatile, and as I said, I'm going to have them in a burger, but you can have them with lemon rice. Works really nicely with these, just a bit of lemon rice on the side, or a really nice salad. Indian coleslaw works really lovely. You can just use your imagination and just, you know, have them as a nice little side dish, or you could just have a plate of those on their own. Genius.
So mustard oil isn't a must?
Mustard oil isn't a must, no. If you don't have it, the reason I'm using it is because it is a really nice combination when you're cooking fish, and just to show you that you know the option is there. If you don't have it, just use whichever cooking oil you've got. I would say a tablespoon and a bit in there. But I'm just going to let that heat up, and then I'm going to let it cool down just so that we can get it to a nice temperature. And then it's really important to just get some kitchen roll just on a plate so that when they're cooked, you just sort of pop them to one side. Now, one thing to be aware of, and it sounds really stupid, I know, but when you're cooking these, they will have, you know, they will turn the oil yellow because we've got turmeric in there. They will turn that oil yellow. So when you put it on your towel, you'll see all the yellow coming through. It's because you've got turmeric in there. So there we go. So I'm going to pop that here. So I'm going to fry these. Now, if you are obviously at home and you don't want to have your dinner yet, just sort of pop them in the fridge and then just have them later on. But obviously I'm going to fry them because I don't want to spend, well, I'd love to spend all evening with you, but I'm sure you don't want to be spending all evening with me. So I'll show you how I'm going to do them. We'll finish the dish and then you can either cook them later or you can cook them with me. If you're really hungry, you can cook them with me. So my oil has heated up and I've just let it cool a little bit. Now I'm going to pop these in. I'm only going to do, we'll do 4 of them. Now what we want is for them to go really nice and golden on the bottom. Now we want them to heat all the way through. Obviously the fish is cooked already because we've steamed it, but we do want to get that lovely sort of sear and that lovely crispiness on there. Don't be tempted to mess about with them. Just let them sit, let them get that sort of lovely coating. Because you've got the chickpea flour in there, they will go really nice and crispy. A lot of the time fish cakes are coated in a breadcrumb, or you can put them in a batter. If you wanted to do that, absolutely no reason why you can't do that. But they don't really need it because you've got the flour in the mixture. when you cook them like this, they'll go lovely and crispy on the outside. So it's looking nice.
Somebody has asked, do you have a cookbook?
I do have a cookbook. I don't know if if you haven't seen the cookbook, it's the Easy Indian Slow Cooker Cookbook. It's available on the website. It's available through Amazon. If you have any problems, just give me a shout. But yeah, the cookbook is there, and I know there's lots of you who love to use it. I get lots of comments from you all, which is nice. Right, so whilst they're cooking, I'm just going to get my other bits and pieces ready that are going to go in my yummy dish. So I've already got a lovely little brioche roll here. Where's my knife? So I do like a brioche roll. They are yummy. So that's going there. I've got a little bit of salad, and I'm also a bit of an onion freak. So I do like my onions. So I'm just going to slice some rings, which we can have with our burger. Now you can build your burger however you want to. You could put anything you like in there.
Johnny said, just seen the F&M basket on the fridge. That's a bit posh.
I think that was a gift. You guys don't miss a thing, do you? Look at that. See, getting lovely and crispy. So as they start to crisp up, I'm just using my spatula just to turn them over. Beautiful. Yeah, that was a gift. I spy. Someone was going on about the champagne last week. So I'm just going to show you what that looks like. Look at that. They're getting beautiful and crispy. Delish. So we're going to put that back on there.
The edible mustard oil as good as normal mustard oil?
Yep, the edible mustard oil is absolutely fine. So what makes it edible is the fact that a lot of the time they've mixed it with usually rapeseed oil. The problem with just mustard oil is that it's got really high levels of uric acid in it. And by mixing it, you're sort of reducing those levels, which makes it okay to consume.
Can you tell us about Indian coleslaw? How is that made?
Oh, no, that's a secret. No, I will. It's something that's been playing on my mind for a few weeks. It's a recipe that I will get up there very, very soon. I haven't finalised it yet, but yeah, it's just coleslaw with a little Indian twist, and I just think it's lovely. So I will share that with you. It'll be on the site at some point. I've got a few new recipes that I'm going to be posting. So I've got the Irish stew with an Indian twist coming. I also cooked a really, I have to say, it was a really lovely dish with chicken that I made last weekend. I'll be sharing that with you. And I've got a few others, but yeah, the coleslaw, the Indian slaw, I will be sharing with you, but I'm not going to give my secrets away quite yet until I've perfected it, and then I will. You know me.
There's been lots of chilli chat after the issue with the Naga.
Lots of chilli chat. We like a bit of chilli chat, don't we?
And we were talking about the sauces that you made, including the recipe one and the rum one.
Oh, okay. So do I need to share those?
Yeah.
Are we back? Am I back? Am I back with you? Seems like the technical bugs are out today. Are we back? They can't tell. We're back. It's like the Instagram bug is out to get us. I do apologise for the little abrupt freeze frame, but we're right at the end anyway. So my fish kebabs are cooked. They're beautiful and they're golden, which looks and smells lovely. So I'm just going to take them out, turn that off, and that's exactly how I wanted them. So I'm all very happy. So we'll pop that onto my kitchen roll. Now I've got my chutney, I've already popped it into that little dish there. And I've got a little bit of salad here, which I've popped on there. I'm going to pop in my amazing, delicious fish kebab. Pop a few little onion rings on the top, and then I'm going to add a good old dollop. So I've made that look nice, I'm not using that. I'm just going to put in a lovely dollop of this tomato chutney. Now you should, hopefully, yours should be looking the same. Can you see? Oh, oops. So I'm just going to top my fish cake with that on top.
Did you say we can freeze them uncooked?
I did say that, yeah. I personally think they are better to be frozen at this stage. So before you fry them, freeze them like this. Once they've cooled down, just put them into a Tupperware tub and freeze them if you're not going to be using them all, and then you can just fish them out, get it? You can just take them out as and when you need them and fry them rather than frying them. I just think the result comes out much fresher. So there is my little onion on top, my fish kebab, salmon and cod loin we've used in that kebab, all served up in a beautiful burger roll with this amazing Indian ketchup or tomato chutney. And that is your Friday night dinner done. What do we think about that? I think it looks good. I could bite into it, but I'm not going to. I hope you are all at the same sort of place. If you're not, I'm assuming you're going to cook it later on. As I say every week, I would love for you to take a photo of the dish that you've produced after today. And huh?
Really?
Pardon? Is it gone again?
No sound.
Oh, my sound. Oh. Is it gone?
Just carry
on. So take a photo of the dish that you've prepared and cooked. I'd love for you to share it with me. So you can share it with me on the app. You can share it with me through Instagram. Make sure you tag me in because I would love to see it. I'm going to be taking some pictures as I always do. So I hope you have enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed cooking with me. I've certainly enjoyed having you in my kitchen. Just a little heads up about next week. So next week I'm doing something really quite exciting and super special. It's a little bit, and it's going to be a little bit different from the usual Friday Night Curry Club. So next week I am cooking along with, or in conjunction with, WaterAid as part of some of their charity work. And what we're going to do is I will be live cooking with one of their, they're called caseworkers, or people that are out in all of their different countries. So we are going to be live cooking with a lovely gentleman from Madagascar, and I'm going to be, or he's going to be teaching me how to cook one of their very amazing prawn curry dishes, and we're going to be cooking that with something that I think sounds amazing. So vanilla and coconut rice. But he's going to be live and we're going to be chatting, and it's a little bit different from what we've done before, but I hope you'll join me. The only difference is it will be at a different time, so it's going to be at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, obviously with the time difference and so on.
So I will be cooking live with him at 1 o'clock, and it will be available on the website for you to see afterwards. And then we'll probably do another one at the normal time as well. But I hope you've enjoyed it today. I will be posting all the information about next week on the website and on the app and everywhere else that I normally do. So don't worry, I will give you all the information that you need. As always, I ask you to give us a thumbs up, and I ask you to share the channel with your friends and family, and make sure you subscribe and click that little bell so that you get made aware of any alerts that I push through. And then I guess that's it really. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I know I have. I'm going to go off and enjoy this amazing fish burger, and I will be hopefully chatting to you again next week. So take care, have a great weekend, and I will see you next week.